Sarah, what are the SEC and DOJ actually looking at here?
The problem is we don't know. We only know what Snap has told us, which is that it probably has to do something with the competition from Instagram, which, although the company did talk about it during the IPO process, definitely downplayed it. I mean, Alex and I were working on stories about this at the time. They were saying that their Android product was the main problem with the slowdown in user growth. Obviously, the Instagram Stories product, which they copied from Snap, has been a huge factor in Snap's inability to retain people and grow its audience further.
Now, the SEC has said they can't comment on an open investigation. There's also this whistleblower lawsuit where the former head of growth also claimed he was misled about how quickly the company was growing. Snap has said the claims are meritless, the IPO disclosures were accurate and complete. But talk to us about how this ties into previous allegations.
So there were some allegations that Snap wasn't fully giving people accurate information about its rate of growth. The company's, from what I know from reporting on the road to an IPO was very fast. They had to very quickly go in and figure out how to get all of their accounting set to go public. They did it in a much faster time frame than most companies would. I think that lawsuit, we haven't really come to a conclusion there about whether that whistleblower is correct. But it certainly does raise questions about this company and how prepared they were to go public and how much they knew about their own visibility into the future of the company's potential success or challenges.
Alex, we're expecting Lyft, Uber, potentially even Airbnb to go public next year. Is this a sort of lesson to be abundantly clear and cautious in your disclosures?
It is, and the thing that I think about is all of these companies are creating new niches within tech, right? These are new types of consumer tech companies. We don't have a ride-hailing company out there. They do have to kind of grapple with this idea of not only pitching their own company story, but also pitching the story of the industry. And what metrics does that mean? And where is the actual competition? So in the context of this, I think definitely folks will be thinking about what numbers they're putting out there, what kind of picture they're painting, and making sure that they're addressing the questions that investors have. Because to Sarah's point, I remember talking to folks in the room at those investor meetings that Snap did on its roadshow, and everyone said, the elephant in the room is Instagram, but they're pointing to Android. So when I think about what the elephant in the room might be for Uber and Lyft, it's going to be potentially the scooter business. It's going to be potentially folks where they're living. Do they need Uber and Lyft? So all of these ideas that investors will be thinking about might not be what the company has on their mind, but they have to be willing to address these things as they pitch their story.
And certainly Facebook has ratcheted up the competition with Snap even since then. Where do things stand in terms of growth compared to Instagram?
Well, Instagram Stories, that product that is just a small part of Instagram, has more than double the users of Snap itself. And Instagram overall as a product has more than 1 billion users. That compares to less than 200 million daily users for Snap. It's not a direct comparison because Instagram is talking about monthly users, Snap's talking about daily. But this is a problem that companies will have when they go public. If investors are saying Snap is going to be the next Facebook, right? Well, nobody's really the next Facebook. There's something else, right? And they don't want to tell people that they are at all like Instagram either. And maybe that's a problem when you're going public and you're trying to create a market for your stock by telling people about what they own already. But then afterwards, you're trying to walk that back and say, actually, we're more about messaging, or actually, we're more about content. We're not about social media. Snap has had a real problem trying to make that identity about what Snap is clear to people. And I think still a lot of people at the company don't understand what the future vision for it is.
Now, there was a great nugget in one of our Bloomberg News pieces that the last time 3 tech companies of this size have gone public in a single year was when Bill Clinton was president, Alex. So walk us through the timeline for these potential IPOs next year, and what could set them off track?
And that is my story. It's in Business Week, so grab that year ahead issue. But right now, in terms of more than $10 billion valuation tech companies, you're right. 2000 was the last time this happened. That was when Palm Pilot went public, when AT&T AT&T's wireless business went public and was this blockbuster IPO. So right now, it seems like you do have that critical momentum, especially in these consumer tech companies. You've got Uber, Lyft, maybe Airbnb. Folks are throwing out Pinterest, House, all of these companies that consumers know who have done a really good job of staying private and raising money privately. So right now, if markets stay stable, that's kind of the big kicker right now. There's been a lot of volatility in the big tech stocks. The young companies will say this is an opportunity for us because people will want to buy into our newly traded stocks as growth and not Facebook, Apple, Amazon, etc. But as long as volatility stays low, it seems like next year could be the biggest year for U.S. listings on record, following a really big one for China tech listing here in the U.S. So all signs seem to point toward a very large year for listings in 2019.
We were speaking to an investor earlier this week who indicated that if they go public next year, they could all come out in a group because it really depends on market conditions. And if market conditions are right, they could all go out at once. Is that the case?
It could be. It could be. We see a lot of timelines moving up for early 2019. In broader market sentiment, there are some questions around what does the interest rate rise mean for equities? Is there going to be an end of this bull market? So if you're ready to go, then after those full year earnings are in January, you might as well get out the door. So that's what we're looking about, and investors will have some big questions on their hands for which teams they're going to bet on for those newly IPO'd stocks.